On this episode, I'm making a cheeseburger pie. It's got all the flavors you love from a cheeseburger inside of a flaky pie crust. For this recipe, you can use a pre-made refrigerated pie crust, such as Pillsbury, or a pre-made frozen pie crust. Whether it's a savoury pie or a dessert pie, we always want to take a fork and use the prongs to create holes. This stops the pie from bubbling up. It lets the air flow. I like to use pie weights in my pie dough. Take some parchment paper or some foil and place it inside, and the pie weights will stop the dough from shrinking. Now, if you haven't got pie weights, buy some dried beans at the store. They're inexpensive and they'll do exactly the same job. They'll stop the dough from shrinking. I've heated up the pan to medium high. I'm adding 1 diced yellow onion and 1 red pepper, and we want to cook these for 5 to 10 minutes until they've got a little bit of colour and they're sweated slightly. With garlic, just snip off the end and give it a bashing with the side of your knife. Look how easy the skin comes off. And now we're just going to mince it, placing one hand on one side of the knife and just going up and down. And it's so easy to make minced garlic. Stir that in. For this recipe, we're using lean ground beef. You don't want a heavy fat for this one. And I'm just going to chop it with the side of the spoon just to make sure it doesn't clump together like a hamburger. We want to break it down a small amount. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, but you could use any spice you want at this stage. You can get creative. We'll add 1 cup of tomato sauce or marinara sauce, and we're going to add half a cup of breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs are going to help absorb all of that tomato sauce to make sure the pie doesn't get too soggy, because we don't want too much moisture, because that pie crust at the bottom will get soggy. I'm going to grate 2 cups of cheddar cheese. Feel free to purchase some grated cheddar cheese. Savoury pie crust are notorious for getting soggy on the bottom, and to help prevent that, we can add a layer of cheese. This will give us a barrier. Another way is to brush the pie crust when it's nice and hot with some egg. As soon as it comes out the oven, brush it with egg, or brush it with egg and pop it back in the oven for 30 seconds. Let's make the topping. I'm going to add 1 egg, some milk, some Dijon mustard, but feel free to use whole grain mustard. Feel free to use honey mustard or even dried mustard. Give this a whisking together and add a pinch of salt. And then we want to add that cheese. We don't need too much salt because remember, cheddar cheese has salt in it. So we're just going to fold this around. And now that we've got the topping ready, let's fill our pie with that meat filling, just placing it in the center. And then we're going to spread this around, and we want to evenly spread this out, but also press down, because remember, we've got the topping to go on and we don't want it to overflow over that beautiful pie crust we're making. So we're just going to spread the cheese mixture around and come just towards the edge, pressing it down just towards the edge. And once that's ready, we're going to bake it in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. If you're having problem browning this, remember, you can turn the broiler on for the last 30 to 60 seconds. Look at that. I want you to take a look at a slice of this. Golden pie crust, perfectly cooked beef, and that cheese topping.